Hi everybody, this time we'll be drawing landscape using one-point perspective scheme. On the photo we see nice street with bell tower. Two walls from the left and from the right of bell tower are facing us. All the rest of the walls are going in parallel with our line of sight in depth of the landscape. It is perfect scenery to apply one-point perspective. What from to start? In case of this type of street view, we have to decide which part of landscape will be main part and which part will be secondary. Secondary part we can cut off at any place in order to adjust image to our sketch page. Obviously, main part must be two central walls with bell tower and facade to the right ending with blue parking sign. Highest point in main part will be chimney and base of two central walls will be bottom level. Main part is more or less square. Let's mark place for main part of landscape in our page. With two horizontal lines, we divide page into three parts. Upper part for sky, lower for earth and middle part for our main buildings. With two vertical lines, letting some space from the left and from the right, we mark width of our main part. We make width equal to the height, so in middle of page now is square frame. Now, using our gridded device, we will find out proportions inside square frame. We move grid closer to our eyes or farther to fit even quantity of squares to the width of main part of scenery. So I think 4 squares in width and 5 squares in height is convenient grid. In our sketchbook we mark middle of the width of the square frame and after middle of each of two parts. Now it is divided into 4 equal parts. We put 5 of these same parts in height and draw grid with light lines. Let's take a look how landscape fits into this grid. House to the left from bell tower is exactly 4 squares in height and 1 in width. The line of its pitched roof goes from top right corner of 4th square to the left and up in 5th square. And in middle of the roof we put the chimney. Chimney ends on the top line of the 5th square. Facade to the right ending with blue parking sign is 1.5 squares in width. In height it is 3 squares from left side and 4.5 squares from right. We mark these points and linking them we get the roof line. This roof line is one of orthogonals, so now we can find the melting point on the crossing of this line with line of horizon. The street in our landscape goes uphill, so lines of sidewalks and level of heads of people can't help us to find the horizon line. But we can use brick pattern on the left wall closest to us. The line of horizon is on the level of one of the orthogonals from brick pattern, which is horizontal. It is a little higher than base of two central walls, bottom of our grid. So we draw the horizon line and find its crossing with roof orthogonal, melting point. Now we divide side of the building close to the blue parking sign in 3 parts in height, ground floor and 2-story up, and we link these marks with melting point. It not only gives us grid for this building, but help us to find proper place for all the buildings going in depth toward the bell tower. We divide the square beneath bell tower in 4 parts vertically. 3 of them to the left are facades of 3 far buildings. Middle is of the same height, 2-story above ground floor. Left and right have 1 story more. Lines of pitched roofs have their own direction. They are not related to our melting point. Bell tower takes 1/2 of the square and width. Tip of its spire ends on the line of left pitched roof. Now we have to divide windows and gaps in between on the right facade. Because of perspective, closest windows look wider and far windows look narrower. How to find out their width? We have easy way to do it. From top right corner of facade we draw horizontal line, and from bottom right corner we draw diagonal line to the left top corner and farther until it crosses horizontal line. Now we need to mark the width of the windows and the spaces between them on this line segment as if we saw them right in front of us, without perspective distortion. To the right we have 3 windows very close to each other and gap on the right. To the left there are 2 windows and bigger gaps. So we have to divide right half of horizontal line into 4 equal parts. On the left half we'll place 2 windows, using our eyes with only one thing to note. Width of each window is the same like on the right, 1/4. This is precise work, so we need special measuring tool, and this tool is at hand already. We tear off stripe of paper and mark on it width of our horizontal line. When we fold it, now it is divided into halves, and one of the halves we fold 2 times to divide it into fourths. With another stripe we mark 1/4 from first stripe and then mark 2 equal line segments for 2 left windows. We transfer marks from the stripe on the horizontal line segment. Then we link window marks on horizontal line with bottom right corner of facade in one point to find out where they cross the roof line. I do it with help of postcard, using it like a ruler. From points where these lines are crossing the roof line, we draw vertical lines. And now we have a row of windows gradually decreasing in perspective. When we draw top and bottom lines of windows, we use these top and bottom lines of windows to draw windows on the far facades too. But we draw these windows with thin vertical lines only, generally trying to keep their top ends along the orthogonals. Let's draw the lines of sidewalks and base lines of buildings along the street. Lines of right sidewalk goes higher than horizon line. As I mentioned, the street goes uphill, so these lines have their own melting point, higher than our melting point on horizon line. The facade from the left closest to us has its own melting point too. It is on horizon line but shifted to the right, because this facade goes not exactly in parallel with our line of sight. Using this extra melting point, we add windows to this building. Part of building from the right we draw using our first melting point. When schematic is ready, we erase construction lines and begin working on details. We add some objects, some patterns, making sketch more vivid. And now we can use the line language to give impression of depth and feeling of texture. We check thickness of lines. Closer to the viewer they have to be stronger, and with distance they have to become thinner and lighter. And sketch is ready. Now you can try to create your own sketch using one-point perspective scheme. With clear understanding of needed steps, it is easy So I hope you'll enjoy the process and result. Bye bye and good luck!